And welcome back to Matter of Facts Podcast. I don't know what time it is. We're a little bit behind on our recording schedule, but that's mostly my fault because I got started talking to somebody, which my wife's going to giggle about because she knows how that ends up. But we have Josh and Corina with us. So the two of y'all came in with him, which I won't hold against you. I mean, it shows a horrible lack of judgment. Questionable friends. But I know that we talked to you on Matter of Facts.
There was alcohol involved.
I'm sure there was. But we talked to y'all on Matter of Facts a few weeks ago because y'all were coming out here for the first time, and y'all are our first-time prepper camp attendees. So what do you think? First of all, is it what we described?
And then some.
And then some, yeah, absolutely. There's so much out here to actually see and do, and some of the things you wouldn't even think of with classes to go to, with the beekeeping and the soap making and mushroom identification and so many different things that I just really, the depth of those classes with these guys that do this stuff every day, and it's just phenomenal. And then not only the classes, but just the other people walking around here with the knowledge that they have, and what you pick up on that is truly incredible. Absolutely.
This community is extremely friendly and so willing to share every tidbit of information that you want to absorb.
Yeah. So far, A+. I mean, way more than I expected. I'm definitely coming back. We're definitely coming back next year for sure. According to Rick and Jane, they put on 20 new classes each and every year, so it's always staying fresh. And any classes that seem to be getting a huge turnout even, they bring those classes back. You know, like the self-defense class that Sarah puts on. Truly incredible. The Canine Fortress class, you know, that was truly incredible with just the way they train their dogs and so forth for home defense and other things is really cool too. Yep. One of my favorite classes so far was actually Ryan's class with the freeze drying. You know, that was really cool because it's just something different than dehydration and canning, you know, and actually gives you a really nice shelf life too. So really impressed.
I like Jane's homestead reality class. That was very eye-opening, and to know that what they've accomplished in 15 years from basically a pocket full of cash, because that's all they had left after everything. It's amazing, and it really gives you kind of hope that there's so much more out there that I've been absolutely oblivious to, including in my own backyard, what I could actually be doing versus what I am doing now. Next year is going to be a whole new game changer for us, yeah, for sure.
So what was the one thing that I guess y'all weren't expecting to find here, or something that, like a class y'all saw on the schedule and you were like, I never thought of that as prepping, or maybe that's something I've always wanted to know about, never knew anybody knew anything about it?
Yeah.
I would say the benefits of honey, for sure. So many different things, medicinal, with your immune system, even the allergies, you know, because with the bees collecting the different pollens and so forth, and if you've actually got that allergy problem, you know, in different seasons and so forth, if you actually kind of, I guess, stagger your honey intake for different seasons of the year too, where the bees are collecting different pollens, it's just amazing on the immunities you build up for your allergies and so forth. And
even if you hurt yourself, like injure yourself, cut yourself.
Jane cut her thumb a quarter of the way off and packed it with honey.
And her thumb looks great.
Yeah.
Well, they say for allergies and stuff like that, the natural honey, hometown honey is the best. I mean, I remember growing up where I had an uncle that would come over and he had bees, and he'd always bring fresh honeycomb all the time, and I remember eating it right off the honeycomb. And I mean, as I've gotten older, I've developed some allergies, but I don't know. Growing up, I never had allergies, and in the research you do with honey is if you eat local honey from your area, especially, I mean, it's good. It helps you develop a lot of stuff. And I know people that they take for years they do a spoonful of honey every single morning, and they never get sick.
Yeah. So that I think between both of us talking last night at the campfire, it was that one I think was the one that was the biggest surprise for us with the amount of benefits that you get from it, and really trying to get into the mushroom identification class, because that's huge up in Michigan with the mushroom hunting and so forth, with morels and pheasantback mushrooms and the oyster mushrooms. And Andrew's uncle took the class and said, yeah, it is truly one of those that is creates so much knowledge for you to bring back home and be able to identify ones that don't have lookalikes, and you have no problem then harvesting those and using those. He said even that, I forget what the one was, Andrew, that the chicken, or
they call it the chicken of the woods. I don't remember
the woods.
I don't remember exactly the whole name, but yeah,
like, you prepare it right, and it's like eating shredded chicken, and you put it on a sandwich and just go to town. So I'm actually looking at taking that class tomorrow morning, just based off of what Andrew's uncle was talking about.
My wife took it last year and said it was awesome.
Nice.
And if you catch that instructor here in the vendors area, he will talk your ear off as long as you want to sit there and listen. Like, he is super, super knowledgeable and super passionate about it. And I think that's what has always stood out to me about this event, is that there are not a lot of gatekeepers out here. There's a lot of people that, like, they're here because they love to share the knowledge. They're into the things they are because they're super passionate about it. And, like, most people out here, all they really want to do is they want you to know what they know so that you can help yourself. I mean, it's the cool thing about this community.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing I think we both like the most, is the community of people are so helpful. The knowledge, they're willing to give you the knowledge, and they love the stuff that they know and aren't afraid to share it with you, because I feel like the more they share, the more credible and the more things that are out there with our community to help create a growing atmosphere. But yeah.
And Corina, I know you and I were talking a minute ago about, like, goldenrod tea to help out with sinuses. Have you looked into the natural remedies, the homeopathic class that's out here?
No, I was trying to take the herbal class for medicinal purposes, but I'm definitely going to buy her book, because there's just so many herbs out just in the nature and wild, like for the goldenrod. I know we've got that in our area.
Most people do.
And if I can hit that at the right season, like you were saying, and store up on that, so when the allergy season comes in and his sinuses are really messed up, I can make that tea real quick. He drinks that for a couple of days, and he should be feeling like $1 million. So I'm pretty excited about that one too. And the canning class, I'm going to be taking that later on. And we got a big old box, ammo box full of seeds, so we'll be able to do a garden. And I've watched some YouTube videos on how to do some gardening in a vertical form, also bed form, or straight up on our earth, and just see the different varieties of the way that we can grow and utilize. And then I'll be able to then take that and can some of that stuff to go along with all of our other foods that we have, and we should be eating pretty nice.
So now, the last question I have is, was there anything you could think of that you didn't see out here this year that you would have wanted? And I only ask because
I might have to come back to that one and give me a minute. I wasn't prepared for that.
And that's fair, but the reason I ask it is because, like, that is really the feedback that, like, I try to collect for Rick and Jane.
So then they can implement that maybe in the next one or the following year.
Yeah, because now, well, two things. That's an opportunity for them to go out to all these subject matter experts and say, hey, are you or someone you know capable of teaching this subject? And if not, that's just another avenue of knowledge to bring into this community. It's another thing to add to the event so that we can continue to broaden and diversify what we have out here. Because it's like I told somebody else, like, there's everything out here from homesteading to self-defense. There's everything from cybersecurity to fiscal security. Like, there's everything falls under the banner of prepping if your mindset is appropriate for it.
Well, I do know that when we, our ideas of what we want to achieve someday for our later life living has definitely got some changes since being here. There's some animals that may not be on our homestead now that we originally thought we needed to have.
Like the pigs. I would say the pigs was the biggest one, and understanding
we
what
don't
Rick
need a
was
cow.
talking about that. We don't need a cow.
And we don't need cows.
So Jane and Rick talked to you about the goats.
The goats, finding out that in my mindset, chickens were going to be for the egg purposes and for the meat purpose, but now we need some ducks because those ducks, those eggs are double the size and actually have more nutritional value to them than what a chicken would have.
And they double purpose to kind of help keep your garden clean of pests and slugs and
Exactly.
snails.
Without scratching and tearing up everything.
Right.
The roots.
Chickens are vicious out there on your property, from what I'm understanding.
They're kind of jerks, too.
Yeah,
Right.
That's what he was saying.
Right.
Rick said he absolutely hated the chickens.
Now, granted, the ducks are messy, but in the same aspect, I'll take a little bit of their messiness when they're saving my vegetables from being...
But the thing is, too, though, with the messiness, they're also, while they're cleaning your garden, they're fertilizing your garden.
Right. So I'll take their mess.
Yeah.
And they can just keep on moving around and do their thing and just a nice little ecosystem.
I would say the one thing that would really, would be a class that I would like to see some point would be how you get started with a homestead, with the transition from living in the rural, in the suburbs, and what kind of money budget are you looking at in order to get started? Because I feel like, if you have the right kind of start, like Jane and Rick said, they basically had a handful of money when they started. Well, what is that handful of money? How did you budget that money, and where did you first start with that money? Obviously, you're starting with property, but then what's your next step and your next step after that? Almost like a step-by-step process with the finance, because you're still dealing with money. And then when you're doing that, what helps you create that income coming back in with you selling, livestock or selling produce to other people, and how do you make that network happen? So to me, I feel like that would be one class that I would be super interested in, with just the finance part of it and how to manage or budget that kind of opportunity.
No, I mean, that's good feedback to take back to Rick and be like, hey, when you talk about the house on the hill that he and Jane created, like, walk through the steps of, because I mean, that's literally Rick and Jane's story, is coming from Miami, from corporate America, and moving out to the hills and making their own little patch of heaven out there where they live off of their own land. But it's like you said, there's a lot of little steps in there of how did y'all actually pull this off to get from point A to point B, to go from, living in corporate America with a shopping addiction to living the homesteading lifestyle at the level they're at now. They obviously didn't happen all at once. I mean, every time I talk to Rick, it's, I just got into pigs, I just did this, I just did that, I just improved that. And it's like, it's a constant effort of re-innovating and improving and doing more with what they have. But you're right, like there's steps there.
And knowing that in order to do all of this, we are going to come across some failures, that our idea didn't work, but now we just need to refocus. What can we do to make this idea actually function right? But we're going to have some failures before we get that success. Hopefully not too many, but...
Well, that's why we're out here learning from other people's mistakes and trying to, try to avoid those. But again, you learn from your mistakes, and that's how you better educate yourself. Even most of the people putting on the classes have always had a failure one way or another, and they're happy to show you on how they overcame that and what to do better the next time.
You want to jump in here, or are you just going to be a silent partner?
I'm just listening. No, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head, because you come here and you're learning, and it's almost like like this topic can be like drinking from a fire hose, but this doing the classes and stuff like that, you get a lot of information, but it's almost like the only way I can put it is it's like a regulated fire hose, to where like it's a fire hose, you're getting a lot of information through 3 days, but it's fire hose that's just turned down a notch, to where they have that to where you get that interest and you get that spark to want to learn more. So now you guys are going to take this, and I know both of you where you're going to take this and you're going to run with it to where you're going to see what you can do. So hey, I have this backyard, how can I better utilize it? Can I do raised gardens? Can I do the tiered, the vertical? Which one is better to maximize my profit? Because I mean, really, preparedness, you want to be self-sufficient and everything like that, but a lot of it is return on investment. So if I can sit there and do this way, that's it's better, and you're just gonna have to do research and measure stuff out, and you both are gonna do that. So you're gonna sit there and go back and what can we do better to, I understand that you guys eventually you want to move out of your place you're at now and go to some place with property, but where you're at now is where you're at now.
Right.
So how can I maximize that space now?
Exactly. And
so.
Shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I was so exhausted last night, and I thought, man, as soon as I get in my truck tent, I'm going to pass right out. And instead, I sat there, and my head was just spinning with all of these ideas of everything that I was absorbing yesterday, that I almost kind of needed to take a little bit of a break today from everything and just observe, watch, listen to everybody that's going and having conversations around us, and wow.
And that's what I like, and that's why I like the way that Rick and Jane set this up. Was it's 3 days of classes, but it's 3 days. It's each day. The first day they're all the same hours. Every single class the same exact hours. So you can take the first day, you can load up on the classes that you're like, okay, I need to hit these classes. These are the most interested to me, and you can hit those. You can burn yourself out on classes. The next day, hit a couple that you might want to see, but relax. Enjoy the day. It's a gorgeous day out today. Hit the vendor area, talk to people, get to know other people, network. And then the third day, okay, there's a couple other classes that I kind of want to hit, but it's whatever. So you guys are doing it right, and I'm glad you guys came, because you're really learning a lot, and so it's good to see you guys jumping into that after me pushing you for so many years to try to do it. Now you guys are like, okay, we're at that point where we can do it, so you guys are, and you guys are jumping in.
Yeah, and like when I was talking to Phil earlier, I don't remember if this was yesterday's conversation or part of this morning's conversation, but everybody here is what I would consider normal people. They're not,
air quotes, normal.
Right. I mean, because everybody's a little weird in their own way, but like, I don't know. I guess
it's a great community.
Yeah. It's not the some freak show weirdos from the county fair. These are really regular Joe and Jane people that just want to utilize Earth in a whole healthier manner. And it's going to be harder work, yes, but the reward from it is going to be so worth it. Financially, mentally, spiritually, and not in a religious way, but in a soul zenning kind of new age hippie.
Well, the thing is, though, is what I like about it, though, is in coming here is you're meeting people that are reconnecting to our old ways. To where, technology is great. I love technology. The advancement of the human race has been awesome. But we have advanced so far where we have forgotten where we've come from, and we have forgotten we've forgotten good skills that we should not forget. Jordan, she does her own yarn, or spinning of her yarn and stuff like that.
She's
her
amazing,
fabric, the knowledge that she has for fabric and how she utilizes it and stuff is insane to me. And how she's known that stuff and how she does that. I mean, like Nick with reloading, the knowledge that he knows, and then we have a lady across the way that she does tanning, and she's right now she's working on a deer hide, and she's stripping the fur off, or the hair off and stuff to tan the hide. And the way when talking to her about it, it's like that's a community project, but that's stuff that we lost. And yeah, I'm not saying that we have to go back and do all these things, but it doesn't hurt. They're not bad skills that we should know.
Right.
Well, and I want to take Sarah's self-defense and abduction class.
Yeah.
Not that I ever think honestly about ever being abducted, but yet that 4'5" little Spitfire will go up against anything, and she has no fear because she knows how to get out of a sticky situation if she's out at a store and somebody tries to.
It's the whole refusing to be a victim. I mean, and that's why I got my CPL and really start and I carry a firearm. Is I refuse to be a victim. I mean, the probability of me being abducted over you is a lot lower, but there's still that chance that harm can always happen to you or anybody else around you or in the area you're in. So I refuse, and so I carry a firearm and I train because I want to be proficient and be able to protect myself and others. You want to protect yourself and others, but you also want to take that step to where women by nature are targeted a lot more than men. And it's a sad world that we live in because of that, but you want to take your step in that direction of I refuse to be a victim. If something happens where I do get, not even abducted, but just attacked.
Right.
You want to be able to defend yourself because
because my husband's not going to be with me every single step of everywhere I go.
Right.
And like he's even pointed out, there's been times that we have been in a store and I was completely unaware that there was a gentleman, and I'll use that word loosely, that was following me and had no idea that he was observing all of this, and I'm just putting stuff in the cart.
Right.
I'm just doing my goal, which is to get in and out of that store as fast as possible because I don't want to be around all these people.
Yeah, I had to basically approach the guy, and she didn't know what was going on.
I didn't even know. I was like, who's that guy that you're talking to? And he's like, never mind. You're good. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
And then we got out of that store, and he's like, I don't ever want you coming to this store without me. And gave me certain locations that he felt was a safer environment for me to do my shopping.
Right.
And we're not even talking fun shopping. This is just
groceries.
And so I let him know, I'm going to this place. If he can't come with me, I'm going here. This is what I'm doing. And he should relatively know by the way I do shop. I don't get distracted in that aspect. I'm going for exactly what I went there for, and I'm coming straight back. And he knows the path that I take. And I guess we've kind of done that without even realizing that we are actually helping each other, and I'm letting him know where I'm at. So if something is taking longer and my phone, I'm not answering it, he knows where he needs to go and what area to start looking just in case something happens.
Right.
Yeah. And to follow up what you were saying about being more resilient, being safer, enhancing all that, I think the other thing we've lost as a society as technology's advanced forward is we've forgotten more than just basic skills. We've forgotten how to deal with adversity. Like we live in a time of so much plenty. We live in a time of so much convenience, so much safety. Like I know that there are people out there that get really worried about like the violent crime rates, but if you compare what we have now to what we had in the 1980s, it's no comparison. We live in a time of relative peace and safety with a relative plenty where like our poorest people are richer than anyone else in the second or third world. And I feel like we've forgotten how to deal with adversity. We've forgotten what it means when the power kicks off for a week. We've forgotten what it's like when you turn the tap and the magic process that makes water flow in your house. It's clean and drinkable and won't kill you, stops. We've forgotten what it means to pop a tire and have to change a flat on the side of the road. You know, we call it roadside assistance. It's sitting there in the air conditioning. We've forgotten how to overcome difficulty. And not just physical difficulty, but I would even say like emotional difficulty. We've gotten so comfortable that any little thing is now a bad day.
Right.
We don't know how to shrug that off anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and our vehicle of life is just, excuse my French, but going balls out, you know, and not stopping to smell the roses for a minute. Enjoy and appreciate what we do have because we're too busy trying to keep up with this Joneses or those people or, you know, instead of just realizing that we've got a lot. We've got a lot, and I'm thankful. And I'm thankful that I have my small group of friends that are true friends. You know, when we've got a situation at our house that we have to address when we get back, and some of our community was like, well, maybe you shouldn't go, maybe you should address this problem, but then I would have missed out on so much that I am learning this weekend that's going to get me years beyond that temporary problem that we can address when we get back home.
Well, it also depends on, I mean, the issue that you guys got going on back home, you have a temporary fix that allowed you to do this. Now, if it was
Correct.
something completely worse or different, then yeah, you know, you got to weigh your options and everything, but yeah, you have a temporary fix to where you could, okay, this is good, we're good to go, let's get back, and we'll deal with it.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I'm glad you guys came.
That's a minor thing, and even though I kind of
freaked
whined
out
I whined a little bit about it. I kind of panicked a little bit about it, but that tends to be my personality. Is I will freak out first, and then after the freak out, then the brain starts spinning. Okay, this is what we can do. This is how we can handle it. I trust that he's going to be able to help make that better, and because we do have some medial knowledge in other areas other than just what we do for a living, that's also helpful too. You know, we're not just one trick pony kind of people, and we are also always looking for more knowledge on how to be more sustainable just in our regular life, let alone all of this extra.
Yeah.
And it's also made me realize that there is a lot more prepping that needs to happen for us just in our environment from where we're at.
Yeah. Well, you guys are part of the community now.
Absolutely.
You
It's
know,
great,
and so
great
like-
thing to be part of it.
This is like
Yeah.
the mafia. Once you're you're in for life.
Yeah.
There's only one way out. We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
The networking alone is just
Yeah.
been great. You know.
Well, and that's the thing. Before we wrap it up, you're in the group now, and you're in that mindset. And once you start that mindset, like before, you guys are like, okay, this is kind of what we want to do. Now it's like, this is what we're going to do, and
Correct.
that mindset's never going to shut off. Now that you got that mindset and you're going full on, it's never going to shut off. You're going to think of new ways to improve and do stuff, whatever you can do. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting road, but I'm glad you guys are doing it. It's awesome.
Next year is going to be even more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Sure.
yeah, we got to hurry up and get a bite to eat and hit our
Get to the next class. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate you guys having us on, though. Thank you.
no, I appreciate you coming on just to talk to us and tell the listeners like your experience, because Andrew and I are a little bit removed from the first time prepper camper experience, to give us that honest look at this event and say, yeah, it knocked it out of the park here. It could have been a little better here. And I appreciate that. I'm sure Rick and Jane will too, but thanks for coming on. We won't hold up your lunch anymore.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, Matter of Facts podcast heading out the door. Talk to y'all in a little bit. Bye.
bye.